Welcome back tuning into today's video. We're doing the first winter 2013-2014 season model roundup. Today we're going to get some of the season models together that we've got. We haven't got that many of them, unfortunately, for this month because, well, either they haven't updated to the required time frame. We're only updating to October, November, December, or maybe November, December, January, so we haven't got the full range of models covering the winter period, or in terms of the Beijing Climate Centre, because the website just hasn't updated. I think there's a problem at the website at the Beijing Climate Centre. We would normally have the charts for the winter for this update from the Beijing Climate Centre, but sadly we haven't got them because the website isn't updating. So if they do appear, I'll be including them in a future video. You can rest assured about that. But the models we have got, we've got a few, and we're going to have a look at those and see what they're predicting for the winter of 2013. 2014, now before I get on with that, just want to talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on my pages at GazWebBiz.com. Rolling your cursor over the green keywords means that they'll display ads, but when you click through the word, that's the key, click through the word, you'll go to advertise the website and you'll be supporting GazWebBiz.com by doing that, and thanks so much for doing it. I get the information, the data from the advertiser so that I know that you are doing it. Thanks so much for bottom of my heart. I couldn't have a website without you doing this, so thanks so much for doing that. So let's start off with a new model that we've got here. We've got the charts from, now I've got to get the name right, it's Hugues van den Duyl. He's a forecaster in America, in the United States. This is CPC. It's part of NOAA, but it's separate to the CFS model. We'll be having a look at the CFS charts in a moment. It's separate to that. This is Hugues' own forecast, I believe, based on sea surface temperature anomalies across the globe in, I think it was issued in August, or it was made in August, but it has just been issued. So this first time I've used this is the first time I've used Hugues van den Duyl's charts. I'm sure they'll be appearing many more times. So this is to start off with is the 500 millimeter height anomaly charts from CPC, from Hugues van den Duyl, for the winter for December, January, February 2013-2014. And what Hugues is predicting as an anomaly for this coming winter is that we're going to have an area of above average height sitting to the north of the British Isles around Greenland and Iceland, and going up to the north of Scandinavia as well. Corresponding with that, we've got below average heights running through the Atlantic and to the south of the British Isles, stretching into Europe. Britain, by the way, is just there. So in terms of the height anomaly, that's about as blocked and cold as you can get for a winter height anomaly chart from Hugues van den Duyl. If we have a look at the temperature forecast that goes with that, well, look at this. We've got the blue colours here stretching across much of Europe and Eurasia as well. These are below average temperatures being indicated. A cold winter there stretching from Eurasia going back in towards Europe. Also a cold winter being indicated, interestingly, for the much of the United States. Now for the British Isles, we've got we've got less of an anomaly there compared to most of Europe. It's not as cold as an anomaly for most of Europe. You would expect that, of course, because we're always on the periphery of the cold air, because we've got the warm Atlantic right next to us. Nevertheless, that is a signal for a colder than average winter for Europe, and the British Isles would be included in that. In terms of the precipitation forecast, excuse me, for the excuse me again. In terms of the precipitation forecast for the winter, well, we're seeing a signal for high pressure here, driving average conditions to the north of Scotland and going out towards Norway as well. Again, you would expect that because we've got blocking areas of high pressure up there. And the wetter than average signal is through the Atlantic, stretching in towards the Mediterranean. But overall, that of course is a cold and average looking winter signal for much of Europe and for the British Isles as well. Now, sticking with the United States and going through to the CFS version 2 model, as I say, Hugues van den Duyl's charts, I think, are pretty much based on sea surface temperature anomalies, and he draws it up himself. This is a generic model for CFS version 2 model from NOAA. Now, CFS version 2 has been very frequently predicting a colder than average winter for much of the British Isles and for much of Europe as well. In the last week, maybe a couple of weeks, it's been backing off from that signal somewhat. Now, this is the 700 millibar height anomaly for the winter from the CFS version 2 model. This is for December, January and February. It's got below average heights there, a trough of low pressure sitting more or less around the British Isles. That is displaced further south than normal. Normally it would be around here, around Iceland, in a typical zone of winter. But it's not as displaced far south as we have been seeing at times from the CFS version 2 model, and we've lost the yellow colours up over Greenland. We've lost the signal for the blocking quite a bit up over Greenland. If we break this down into monthly periods, this is for December, the 700 millibar height anomaly for December, and we see we've got a trough of low pressure sitting more or less around British Isles, high pressure in the Atlantic. That is not a particularly cold signal for December. That would be near normal and really very unsettled, quite wet at times. Now, as we move through to January, we've got a better signal then for blocking. We've got a signal for some blocking over in January, with CFS Wallace consistently looked like the coldest month of the winter. It's still sort of going for it. It's backed off from the idea of the blocking quite a bit, but nevertheless we still have some blocking there. The trough of low pressure is over the British Isles again, but the difference, of course, is that the blocking would be pushing colder air into that trough. So I think that is a cold trough then sitting over the country, as opposed to what we saw in December, where the trough is not particularly cold. That is a colder signal for January. You will get some wintry weather from that, of no doubt. And as we move through to February, this is 700 millibar height anomaly signal from the CFS version 2 model for February. It's seen that we've got low pressure, trough of low pressure more or less to the northeast of the country, and also around the east of the United States. Presumably there's some sort of ridge in the Atlantic. Again, that is not a particularly cold signal for February. The jet stream will probably be going something like that around the trough in the east states, the ridge in the Atlantic, and the low pressure up over Scandinavia. We're more or less on the cold side of the jet stream, I suppose, but it's not a particularly cold signal by any means. We haven't got any blocking there up over Greenland. So aside from January, I think the CFS model, and even in terms of January, CFS model is sort of backing off from the signal from blocking, but it is still there more. It's more evident in January. But overall, the CFS model is sort of backing away just at the moment from its prediction of really quite a cold and block winter. Of course, it may well come back again. CFS does wax and wane like this and swing about quite a bit. So we're going to have to wait and see. But I think it is backing off just at the moment a little bit from that signal. Nevertheless, that's a cold-looking January. Now, the next charts I want to show you are from our very own UK Met Office. I'm going to just show you how the blocking develops over the course of the winter with this model. So this is starting off with the 3 monthly period, October to December. What we're seeing here is the orange colours sitting to the north, British Isles around Iceland and Greenland. So we've got some blocking going on through that 3 monthly period. Low pressure is more or less around the British Isles, below average pressure. These are sea level pressure anomalies. They're not height anomalies. These are sea level pressure anomalies. So we've got blocking to the north, low pressure around the British Isles. The next 3 monthly period, which takes us from November, December, January, shows that the colours to the north are intensifying. The orange colours have intensified there to the north of British Isles, stretching from Iceland and going out to the north of Scandinavia as well. That's big blocking there to the north of the country. Below average pressure is moving more to the south of the country. You will be expected to bring down northerly and northeasterly winds with that, I'm quite sure. And then the next 3 month period, which actually takes us to the winter. This is the actual winter sea level pressure anomaly, December to February. Look at this big blocking there over Scandinavia and stretching back into the west of Russia. Absolutely massive blocking going on there. Big areas of high pressure stretching from Russia into Scandinavia. Low pressure still seems to be around British Isles and going into Central Europe as well. Losing the blocking over Greenland, actually going towards below average heights. So that's probably what's inflating this blocking up over Scandinavia and western Russia. But those sea level pressure anomalies definitely signaling a colder than average winter in my view. Now, the actual temperature forecast that goes with this doesn't really pick up on it actually just at the moment. If you have a look at the temperature forecast for the winter, we see that actually the model is predicting near normal temperatures there in those creamy colours there for the British Isles. All the red colours up to the north are indicating the blocking, of course, but we haven't got the cold air yet being shown by model to be bleeding out into the mid-latitudes. Nevertheless, with those sort of temperatures up in the northern latitudes and the blocking, I would be expecting colder than average winter. I can't see how you could get that sort of level of blocking for the winter and not get a colder than average winter. For the precipitation forecast for the winter, we're seeing that, well, it's coming out wetter than average, actually, around British Isles in those green curves. That's a wetter than average winter being signalled there. But although the Met Office model in terms of its temperature forecast is not going for a colder than average winter, showing the normal temperatures, with that level of blocking and warmth up over the pole, up over the northern latitudes, the only thing that could happen is that you push out the cold air into the mid-latitudes, and I can't see any way, but with that level of blocking, you wouldn't get a colder than average winter. So I think if that signal for the blocking continues, and of course it may not, over the next few updates from the UK Met Office model, you will see the temperatures going colder than they are on this particular run. Now, finally, we're coming to the end of models that we've got. As I say, I haven't got that many, unfortunately, for this video. The Jamstec IOD model, this is the temperature anomaly for the winter. The British Isles is just here. I'll quickly highlight it. That's where British Isles is. This is the temperature forecast for the winter, and it's going for a colder than average winter, quite evidently. Not just for Britain, but for the whole of Europe and much of Eurasia as well. The warmer than average conditions are up to the north of Scandinavia and to the far north of Russia. That's because we've got the blocking up there, of course. We've got high pressure sitting up there, and this is more what you'd expect with blocking in the northern latitudes. You'd expect the cold air to be pushed down into the mid-latitudes, and that is more sensible as an anomaly with blocking than the UK Met Office chart. So a cold and average winter being signalled by the Jamstec IOD model. What about the precipitation? Well, it's going for a drier than average winter there for the British Isles and for much of Europe as well. We've got high pressure up there, of course, and that's why it's drier than average. We're pushing the jet stream down to the south, so yeah, that's why drier than average, not bringing low pressure through, because it's a blocked winter setup. So the Jamstec IOD model is certainly going for a colder than average winter. So is Hoogman Van den Duil, he's going for a colder than average winter as well. The UK Met Office doesn't show it as colder than average, but with the signal for the blocking, but it's showing, and the warmth in the northern latitudes, there is absolutely no way you could get that level of blocking and not get the cold air going into mid-latitudes. So that, evidently from the sea level pressure anomalies, is going for a colder than average winter as well, although the temperature forecast hasn't caught up yet with what the pressure anomaly is. But the CFS model is backing away a little bit, and that's going to be a concern if you want a cold winter, because the CFS model has been leading the pack really over the last few weeks and months in terms of a cold and average winter. It's certainly backed away from it a little bit over the last few weeks, particularly evident, I think, for February, probably for December as well. It's still going for it in January, I think, in terms of 700 millibar high dominant. We've still got blocking being signalled over Greenland, but not as strongly as it has been. But nevertheless, January is always, from the CFS model, been seen to be the coldest month of the winter, and it still is sort of there, although less evident in terms of that 700 millibar height anomaly. But overall, the trend through this is that we're looking at a colder than average winter. I'm quite sure about that. But of course, we haven't got that many models to go at, and that's the caveat. We haven't got the Bayesian Climate Centre as we would normally. If it shows up, if they fix whatever's going wrong with the website and it shows up, I'll be including it probably next week, hopefully. You have no fear about that. Otherwise, the next seasonal model roundup is going to be in October, and we'll have many more seasonal models to add in then. We'll be able to start looking at the JMA model, the Brazilian model, the Russian model, probably the Korean model as well. So we'll have a lot more models to go at next month. And of course, we'll also be looking at these ones that we've been looking at today as well. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting. Next week, it'll be the second Winter 13-14 roundup. Not seasonal model roundup, but roundup. We'll be looking at solar activity, sea surface temperature anomalies, snow cover, see how that's developing across Siberia, and all that kind of thing. So come back to that next week. It'll be very interesting. I think if the Bayesian Climate Centre has updated, I'll also include that in that second roundup video as well. Hope you found the video interesting and informative. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.